Perfect. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Business Connected Lunch and Learn webinar. My name is Amy. I am a Program Manager, Enterprise Nation, and very happy to welcome you here today. For those of you who are joining an Enterprise Nation Lunch and Learn for the first time, we are a vibrant community of small businesses and business advisors that exists to shortcut your route to trusted business support. Today's session is part of Business Connected. We've partnered with Vodafone Business to equip 800,000 small businesses over the next 3 years with different digital skills. The programme is also supported by our digital partners JP Morgan, Sage and Build AI. And for more information, please do visit the Business Connected Hub. We'll be dropping the link in the chat during today's webinar. Today, I am pleased to introduce marketing expert Anna Morris. Anna has over 10 years of experience in the marketing industry. She founded Quibble in 2016 to support businesses of all sizes, both locally and abroad. And today's webinar, she'll guide you through the world of social media, helping you to discover the best channels for your business. And she'll also teach you the secrets behind driving natural engagement and using targeted advertising to its full potential. If you have any questions during today's session, please do post them in the Q&A chat function and we'll ask them at the end of the session. And it'd also be great if everyone could introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about your business in the chat box today. And a reminder as well that the session is going to be recorded. We'll send a follow-up email this afternoon with the recording and further resources as well. But thank you, Anna, so much for joining us today to talk about growing your online business with the social media. I'll let you take the virtual stage with your presentation, and then I'll be back at the end to ask questions.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We've got a lot to cover. Social media in general is a huge topic. So just a few takeaways today. We're going to be obviously looking at how and where you should be kind of putting social media in terms of your overall marketing plan. Reason being, it can't work as a standalone marketing activity. It's got to be a kind of an omni-channel process or strategy that's included with email marketing, blogs, news articles, all sorts of different elements. But yeah, we're going to look at how to best use paid ads as well within your social plan. So not just the organic side of things, and also then kind of how are we turning those followers, you know, those people that we're getting to those pages, getting those likes, how are we going to get those into or turn them into paying customers at the end of the day. So there's already been a great introduction, but yeah, just a list there of some of the clients that we've worked with. So yeah, large and small, and everyone has the same problems. Everyone thinks that social media is easy, but actually when they start getting involved in it, it becomes like this huge mountain that you have to kind of overcome. So actually, no, it's a misconception that social media is easy. You know, not everybody can actually do it. No, well, they can, but not necessarily very well. And that therein lies the problem. So yeah, social media isn't necessarily easy. It does cost time, you know, and time is money. So where do we begin with all of this? First of all, it's very important to review all of the different channels that you have. We'll look at the different channels in a moment so that we can make sure that you're obviously using the right ones. But you want to make sure that whenever you're getting started, you can start some activity. Where do we begin? We need to have a look and make sure that all of the handles on all channels are consistent. So the handle is basically the title of the page, or when someone tags you and they do the @ symbol, you want to make sure that they are the same across all channels. So if you're setting up a business in the initial stage, one of the first things I always check is, have we got the available Twitter handles, social handles, LinkedIn pages and all that, or has somebody else got them? Maybe they could transfer them to us, might cost a little thing, but you know, it's always worth asking that question. Or do we need to tweak it slightly, or can we add like different variations to it? But that's always something that I would check first off, because then when people are tagging you across their socials for different products and services that you offer, they can find you nice and easily. You also want to make sure that any images and header images are also consistent and they're also the correct size. There's nothing worse as well seeing, you know, your profile image, then all of the contact information hidden behind it if you've got that within that header image. So make sure that you've looked at them on all the profiles, they are the right image. You might just need to do a bit of reformatting. Update any bios as well. So often something that people forget to do is looking at their bios, looking at the relevant keywords. So think of every social media channel as a search engine. So like Google, like Bing, or whichever channel you use. Because people will search for certain products, certain services and things local to them as well. So make sure you're including, relevant keywords to your business. Might be some location keywords in there as well, if you want to target more of a local audience. And also update your website link. So again, something that people often forget, or they might change their URL and they forget to update it. If they haven't got the necessary redirect in place, it's going to go nowhere. Which then disrupts that person's experience with your brand. One thing we do also recommend is setting up Linktree. I will share these slides afterwards, and that's got a link behind it. But even if you use to put into Google Linktree, it will come up. Great for things like Instagram or other channels where you're only allowed that one URL, because it means you can actually click that Linktree link. That takes people through to a page where you can then list a whole load of areas that you want people to go through to, which might be certain products, might be a sale, or it might be some inquiry form as well. So that's a really, really good way of directing people and making sure that they engage in the right way. Also adding those product feeds and setting up Facebook shopping so that people can shop across the various different channels. A lot of people do follow different brands on social media, especially things like Facebook and Twitter, and even Instagram, even TikTok these days. So yeah, make sure you've got all of the necessary shopping details, update your feed, and make sure it's kept up to date as well. And set up any necessary kind of ad features. So if you're looking at doing some organic activity, but you're thinking, actually, yeah, I might look at doing some ads later on. Might think, maybe am I going to just boost a post on Facebook, or am I going to run a set of ads on Facebook? You've got it all set up in the initial stage. You've got things covered. Next is making those channels easy to find. So I've already mentioned about making sure that they're all consistent. You've got the handles, you've got the keywords in there. But we also want to add links to our website. We want to also add buttons to the website so they're nice and clear. Often I find, that companies will hide them away right at the bottom of a page. But if people are maybe short for time, they want to follow you on social media on a regular basis, having those clear and at the top of your website in the menu is going to be really valuable. I'd also recommend, if you haven't got them on the contact page, that's another good place to put them. So header, footer, and contact page as well. And then add them into mail shots. So any kind of email marketing that you're doing, make sure they are really clear, make sure they're up to date and those links are working. So always test them. And even if you're just doing some, personal emailing, always make sure they're in your email footer, which is what I've mentioned there. And then step 3 is making sure that you've got everybody on board. So whether you're a small team, it might be that you're a one-man band, or maybe you've got a couple of people working for you and beyond. You want to make sure that everybody is working towards the same goal. Everybody is following those channels. Everybody is engaging, whether that's liking, commenting, and sharing the social posts that you're publishing, the organic social posts. Because again, like I said, with social media can't on its own work in isolation. One person working on social media, in isolation cannot work either. So you need to have, these people behind you initially to start extending the reach of any posts. To do that, I'd also recommend setting up a social media policy, just having some rules in place so that, someone's not going to share it in a group that's completely irrelevant, and also making sure that obviously, they're working within the right guidelines. They're not doing anything untoward. Again, with employees, if you're going to get them involved, I'd also make sure that their profiles are up to date. That's more, I would say, for LinkedIn, just because people are likely to then look at the employees of that company. In most cases, they will trust what an employee says, more so than top-level directors, CTOs, CEOs, and even from the company pages. So they're actually going to look at your employees and probably the exec level, to get the right information from you. So making sure that their profiles are up to date, again, including keywords and all the right information, links, contact information is going to be vital as well. And then, as I make sure that they're going to actually like the pages and that they're going to input as well. It might be that you want to get them involved, maybe sharing some posts, but as long as they've got those guidelines, they know what they're working towards. So we've got everything set up. We know exactly what we're doing in terms of making sure everything's consistent. We've got the pages there, they're ready. We've got to have a strategy. There's no point in thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to post every now and again on social media and maybe sporadically across various different channels. You also need to make it as easy as possible for yourself. So first off, right, where does it even fit? And I mentioned before, we're going to look at, which channels we should be looking at. So to do this, we need to consider your demographic. So if you haven't done any persona work yet, I would recommend doing that. And when I say personas, I mean, your ideal customers, essentially, creating just a kind of a stereotypical picture of them. And then you can start thinking, okay, well, where are these people and how can I get in front of them? So here you can see there's a list of the platforms, and yes, the ages in a lot of cases are quite broad. I would say in recent years, TikTok has started to make a bit of a splash. Looking at this, I've not included LinkedIn on there, but that's 25 to 34 years old and above and beyond, but the kind of the main areas for them. Pinterest is actually as well really, really good for getting in front of people, especially if you've got products. And 61% of them, or just over 61% of those, are 18 to 34-year-olds. So that's quite a large percentage. TikTok, the largest group, so even though we've got a large age range there, the largest group, or the biggest group in terms of age range, is 10 to 19. So you've got a much younger audience. And so Facebook, I've put at the top there. It has got an aging population, so that's always worth considering, but it's a good platform for products as well as services. And that can be, even B2B, it doesn't have to be B2C. It's a really, really good platform for doing things like retargeted ads, or even creating lookalike audiences, which I'll mention in more detail shortly. But yeah, the most used platform is Facebook, so it's well worth testing some ads on there. When I say ads, I mentioned before as well about boosting posts and then running those social ads, and they are two very different things. When you're just boosting a post, I would recommend that in probably only very few instances, and that's when you want to boost your following, essentially. I wouldn't say that you're going to get any sales necessarily from boosting a post. You're going to extend your reach, you're going to probably get more followers, but you're not necessarily going to get sales. Your ads is where we want that engagement. So when you're running specific ads, and that is where you're going to get the sales from. So just so you've got that clear differentiation there. So we know the demographic, we know we're going to have a look at some of the platforms. If you're limited for time, maybe pick 2 or 3. Again, you don't have to think, I've got to post different content on all of these channels. You can tweak it maybe, but repurpose your content, reuse it. You're going to have different audiences on different platforms. Even though, yeah, they might follow you on a couple, it's unlikely. They're probably going to follow you on the most used social platform that they're using at that time. But yeah, the next step, once you've looked at those channels, is looking at what your goals are. You can't have a strategy without thinking, well, what is the end goal? Is it that you want to increase your following? Then maybe boost some posts on Facebook and Instagram. Is it to increase your engagement? Again, boosting posts can do that. It can help. And then those people are going to keep seeing your organic posts on a regular basis. So the more people engage with your content, the more likely they are to see it. So we see time and time again, brands that, they'll just think, I'll just post more organic posts out there. I'll put more pictures, I'll put more text, I'll put all sorts out there. I'll do it, 5 posts a day. They're getting no engagement. If anything, that's going to hinder them. Because if people aren't engaging, Facebook then thinks, well, are these posts relevant? Because no one's engaging. So you want to go slow and steady. Once you start getting engagement, then build up to increasing the amount of posts. You want more purchases? Let's have a look at those Google ads, Google ads, Facebook ads and other social ad platforms that are going to drive sales. Something that works really, really well, so you can do this on LinkedIn, you can do it on Facebook as well, is creating lead forms. So you essentially keep that person who's clicked on an ad on that social platform. You're not sending them to your website, which in a lot of cases is the end goal. You want them to obviously go to your website, sign up to your newsletters and all that stuff. But actually creating a lead form or allowing them to make a purchase through social media, you're not disrupting their experience. They're on social media, they want to carry on looking. So making sure that you've got those things set up is a really, really good idea. and more click-throughs. So yeah, people through to your website, and you can A/B test that. So you can have a look at, if I'm updating my product feeds and I'm putting those product photos out there and linking everything up as I should, is that getting more sales, or actually getting people to sign up to my email platform, email marketing list via a lead form, or maybe I'm giving them a downloadable piece of content? Is that going to get me more sales? So you can start doing some A/B testing with that. And that's another thing. So with posting, some people really struggle to know what to post. Posting about general activity, stuff that's going on, whether you're packaging certain products up to sell, or whether you've got a birthday in the office, whatever it is, be posting that stuff. People like to know who you are, who are the people behind the brand, and how do they work. But also use social media as a way to amplify your content. Again, I mentioned before about writing blogs and articles. You can use each of those blogs, break them down into snippets, and you can use that across your social media. And I would highly recommend that. It gives you, if you're writing that content, why wouldn't you share it on social media? And here, so this is something from BuzzSumo, which is a tool that we use. And they analysed a number of blog posts and looked at how many shares they were getting basically online. A number of them weren't getting social shares at all. So 50% of blog posts they looked at received less than 8 social shares in total. 75% received less than 39 social shares, which is atrocious. Most of your content, I would imagine, if you're creating content on a regular basis, is going to be what we call evergreen. So it's relevant now, relevant in the future, especially if you're doing things like buying guides. So you should be sharing that, all the time. That's content that you can repurpose over and over again to, start building that following, having something to say and letting people know who you are, how you work, and also talking about the industry knowledge that you have. But yeah, for every £1 that you spend on content creation, you should be spending about 4 times more on actually amplifying that content. So that can be through your organic. See, time is money. We've already discussed that. So it could be that you're posting and repurposing that content on social media. You may also want to use ads as well. So as I mentioned with the downloadable content. Further to that, we've got a list here of some of the paid ad platforms, but you might also want to use influencers. So that's another, again, a big minefield. Talking about influencers is a topic in itself, but there's so many ways that you can reach out to them. I would always recommend for probably smaller businesses, even medium businesses, to look for micro influencers. So these are people that have, just a very small following, but they're an engaged following. So they're always getting comments on their posts, they're getting likes, they're getting that engagement. Those people that have that engaged following have a trusted following. So if you can make a partnership with those influencers, obviously relevant to your brand, that's going to be one of the best things that you can do. Yes, they're probably going to want to charge a fee, or they might want some freebies, but there's various different options that they will likely give you. And when you're producing content, again, you want to make sure it's consistent. You want to make sure it's on brand. So make sure you've got those brand guidelines to hand, especially for anybody that's creating content. If you're getting lots of people involved, you still want to make sure there's consistency. But use tools such as Canva. Canva, there's a free version, there's a premium paid for version, which isn't that expensive either. But it's great for creating static posts. Just post where you're repurposing the content, maybe changing some of the images. Again, do some testing with the colors that you're using. But it's also great for videos, and you can use these for your organic posts. You can also use them for your ads as well. So that's something that we do. We use a lot of the Canva videos. We create various different things, create different slides in them, and we use them as ads, and obviously put an overlay of different music on there as well. And that's available all on Canva. And I'll say most of it is for free. But yeah, looks really good. And if you can include some of your real photos, obviously that will go a long way as well. So next, we're going to look at Facebook ads in more detail. As I mentioned, Facebook is the biggest platform. It's the most used platform, which is why we're going to focus on this particular one today. You're going to do Facebook ads. You want to have your business manager account set up. So if you go to business.facebook.com, so not just your facebook.com, but business.facebook.com, make sure you've got that all set up. Add any pages that are existing, add your payment details. You'll also be able to get the Facebook pixel. If you Google it, it will send you to the right place. You want to make sure that's installed. That will ensure that you can track everything. Can't manage what we don't track. You'll hear it time and time again, I know, but it's very, very true. So yes, you can speak to your web dev if you've got one, or there'll be various different YouTube ads, or not ads, channels that you can look about how to set up those Facebook ads and get that pixel installed. But yeah, once you've got that, you can start learning from your audiences, get those ads running, set that budget, don't go high. You want to start slow and steady. I'd probably recommend in the initial stage, you want to maybe start about £10 a day. So consider the budget that you'll need to run ads. Minimum test I'd recommend is 2 weeks if you're going to run an ad test. And again, you probably want to run a couple of different options alongside one another. So you might want to change maybe the text, maybe change some of the imagery. So you've got to think, if we're going to be running 2 ads side by side at £10 a day each, you've got to have that budget aside, because that's completely on top of everything else. And Facebook, if it can, it will spend that budget. But yeah, and have a look at lookalike audiences. So if you have an email database, I believe you need a minimum of 5,000 email lists or email contacts. But if you have that, and you can give it to Facebook and say, I want to target an audience that looks like this. So these are your existing customers or people that may have engaged with you in the past. You know these people are interested in your business, and you want to find other people that are like them. If you can get all of that set up, it will go out and find those people. You can also then start trying to increase that following, but also getting engagement and getting those sales coming through, those conversions through to your site. Facebook is also a really good place for remarketing. I've not mentioned that. So remarketing, we use it. We always recommend it to clients. It's cheaper in terms of kind of general ads that you would run, because you're essentially trying to get those people that are already familiar with your brand to re-engage with you, hence remarketing. But yes, you might have seen it if you've been on John Lewis, you're looking at a kettle, and you go to something else, and later on, you're on social media kind of scrolling through, and you see a picture of that kettle. Oh, it's a John Lewis ad. Like, I've forgotten about that ad or that particular product. That's remarketing, and you can choose how aggressive you want to go on that. But again, if you've got a decent amount of social of kind of traffic to your website, you can do remarketing, and Facebook is a great place to do that. So other tips for Facebook, I've already mentioned lead forms, so I would recommend having a look at that. But use other ads for inspiration. So when you're scrolling, your team and everybody are going to be seeing different ads, and you're probably going to see remarketing ads as well when you're looking at your competitors. Take a snapshot of them, start learning from the other ads and what your competitors are doing. But what you can also do is have a look at the Facebook ad library. This is a place where you can essentially look for any ad. I'm going to show you a snapshot in a moment of just something I searched for, basically to get a screenshot for this. But you can put in anything in here. You can even look at your competitors. You can see what content they're trying to publish. You can see the photos and the imagery that they're using as well. But what I would say in terms of your ads is, don't be disheartened by a click-through rate. So when we're looking at the click-through rate and how many clicks you're getting on your ads, the average across social media is 1.21% of a click-through rate, which might sound really low, but actually that's the average. So you've got to think like that. If you're hitting that, you're on par with your competitors and the other people within the space that are advertising on social. 90% of users also follow at least one brand on social media, which is why it's so important to keep your social channels up to date. If one of your competitors is posting, even if they're doing it once a week, and your ideal customers come in to have a look at you, they're maybe looking at one of your competitors. They've posted in the last week. You've probably posted maybe a month, 2 months ago. They're probably going to go and have a look at your competitor first, because they look more active, they look more engaged. And you want to, if you're new to a brand, you want to be looking at a more responsive brand. You want to invest kind of your time getting to know who that brand is and what they're about. So ensure that you don't have to post overly often, just something, every week, and then start building on it would be ideal. But yeah, here is a picture of the library. So this is Meta, or the Facebook ad library. So I was having a craving for chocolate, so I looked for chocolate. And here you can see various numbers of ads that were running when I looked at this. And it's actually Terry's chocolate orange, and they've got York's chocolate story on there as well. So they're the ads that they're running, and you'll notice that the photos or the videos that they've got here are kind of long and slim, so long and slim rather than your width long landscape images, and that's so they're getting the right mobile experience. So I would recommend, especially in most instances with social media, people are going to be looking on their phones. So having those kind of long images where it's going to fill that screen is ideal. So yes, highly recommend testing, your landscape and your kind of portrait images and videos on there. And essentially, overall, you want to create a fan base. You want people to, as I say, invest in you, your business, and your brand. So yeah, by creating a fan base, you've got all these people that will essentially then, they will champion you and what you do and what you stand for. So showcasing your values, showcasing what it is you're about, whether it's eco-friendly, it's family orientated, whether it's, I keep seeing a lot of allergy jewelry, for example, as well. All of those things, it's all about fitness and all that kind of stuff. Showcasing what it is that you stand for is perfect. And then they can start investing in you, championing what you do. So how do we do that? How do we create a fan base? You've got to find out what they want, and you can ask them. Just ask people that follow you. Say, are there new products you're looking for? What is your kind of your biggest issue or problem that you're coming across and being faced with day to day? Ask them. Go straight to the horse's mouth. Create that content. Make sure it's valuable. Make sure it's relevant. Any post, whether it's an ad, whether it's an organic post as well, you should think at the end of it, well, so what? If there's not a so what, just think your audience are going to be thinking the same thing. So what is the point in this post? Is it because you're showcasing who it is that you are a brand? You're giving some insight. Are you trying to make their lives easier, or are you providing some kind of solution? We also then want to make sure that people are realizing what the brand is about. So go through that process of making sure you've got your personas in place, your brand identity. Your brand will have a personality. It's likely going to come from the top down and will filter through. But think about, what is your personality? Are you energetic? Are you active? Are you funny and humorous? Because then you can portray that in your posts. Ask for feedback and reviews. Having those social reviews and even getting influencers and just your users and your customers sharing what it is like in terms of their experience from their customer service point of view, through to the shipping experience, getting people to kind of share that information, sharing photos as well. So you're getting user content, making sure they tag you in it. You can obviously share that then with new customers. And that, that builds more trust. And if you're sharing your customers' content, they're going to love it too, because their brand is hearing them, is seeing them. And yeah, it's a great place to obviously be, and they want to be part of that community. Customer service, it's without doubt one of the biggest things. People want to make sure that they're working, or not working with a company, but they're engaging with a company that has the same shared values as them, that they really value the money that they're spending on their products and services. So whether you're getting somebody to share something, or you've seen that they've shared an experience, engage with it. If somebody just posts on one of your posts on social media, they comment on it, engage with them, engage with everybody, whether it's negative or positive. That's something that, again, people sometimes struggle with, is when they get a negative comment. If there's somebody criticizing you, your business, your brand for whatever reason, still go back to them, rise above it. Don't just ignore it, because again, you're the followers of those pages will see that you've ignored it, and they'll wonder why. So go back. Don't engage in any kind of argument, but go back and just explain the situation and try and help them. And reward loyal customers. There's so many different loyalty programs that you could implement. But yeah, trying to encourage that and sharing it and showing it on social media is vital to creating that fan base. So yeah, share your experiences as well. Go behind the scenes. Let people have that insight to you and your business. And be consistent. oh my gosh, like consistency is by far the biggest thing. You know, don't start sharing so many social posts and then all of a sudden stop. Don't start and stop, because people will see it. And if they're, you know, they're following one of your competitors and they are being consistent, they're going to continue following them, probably not engaging in your posts, and then they'll start not seeing your posts as much. So being consistent is key. There's a whole load of information as well, like I've probably not covered. Social media is so huge. I'm happy to answer any questions either now or either afterwards as well. As I say, I can and I will share these slides. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And so I will share the slides, and they have lots of notes. They've got links in them, and it will just give you a little bit more information. But yeah, that was a lot. I hope I've covered a lot of stuff and given you a lot of information and knowledge. But yeah, happy to answer any questions now.
Thank you so much, Anna. I've got a couple of questions that have come through. The first one is, so you mentioned £10 a day for 2 weeks minimum. Someone's asked, what is the average spend time to actually getting sales? They're trying to work out an allocated budget.
I would say that's a very, very broad question. It would, I would say, depend on your industry. So when you're setting up ads and you're looking at, you know, your different audience types, the different targeting, it will give you an overview anyway of what the audience type is look like what, how big is the pot essentially, what is the engagement level likely to be. Facebook's really good for that. So yeah, without looking at that information, I wouldn't be able to tell you what is the starting point, because we would usually start there and think, okay, well, that's the potential. Now we need to make sure we can engage with them. So we'd run an ad, we test it. Obviously, as I mentioned, doing the A/B testing is ideal. But yeah, you want to test it and see what that engagement level is like. If you're not getting any engagement, not getting any click-throughs, or they're maybe not converting on the other end, I would say there's potentially an issue on the website. So that's something that we find as well with some clients when we come to them and they're saying, I've been running ads and, you know, they're just not converting at the other end. Well, let's have a look at the website. What is the user's experience like? So if you're sending them to a certain page, how is the shopping process? You know, is there a kind of a stumbling point that they get to, or is something broken that we need to look at? So there's a whole host of different things that we would need to consider. So it's very, very difficult to kind of answer that without digging a little bit deeper. Sorry.
No problem. No, that was great. And do you recommend images and photos on every post, or do you recommend varying? I guess it kind of alludes to what you've said before about experimenting and see what happens.
Definitely, yeah, experiment. I would say in terms of the most engaging posts, it's small videos. When I say small videos, no longer than 30 seconds. People do not want to listen to a video for 30 seconds, or longer, sorry, than 30 seconds, 60 seconds and 2 minutes. It's way too much. People have a really short attention span. Photos are still really good. So yeah, keep doing photos. You can sometimes put some text posts out if they're larger text. So it's more like kind of like a bit of a blog post, maybe a short form blog post with lots of bullet points. Make sure it's broken up so it's still really easy to read, really digestible. But yeah, you're probably going to find the most success from your short form videos. You know, you can share your posts on things like stories as well. But yeah, experimenting is always the best thing to do. You can also run polls on most social channels. It's great for getting feedback and insight into your customers, your ideal customers, and just the general followers. They tend to work really, really well as well.
Perfect. And another question is, if someone's just starting their business and just using social media to start out with, rather than I guess having a product to sell straight away, they're just getting to know their audience.
Yeah.
Firstly, do you think that you shouldn't use paid ads in this instance and just wait until you've kind of built up a bit of an audience, built up more content?
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. It's very difficult. So to build an organic following, like with no paid activity whatsoever, it will take a long time. I'm not gonna lie, it will take a long time. So you could, in that instance, boost some posts, but along with that, rather than just necessarily posting on your own page, get involved in some groups as well. You know, there's hundreds and thousands of groups, you know, local business groups, certain product groups, certain interests. Get involved in those, add insight, and advice rather than trying to sell anything. Maybe even say, look, I'm looking at doing X, Y, and Z, get feedback on even some branding, logos, even if you have an idea and you think, actually, I'm going to go with that one. Just put it out there, because you're going to get people engaging with you and thinking, actually, I want to help this person. I want to be involved. I want to follow their story. So getting engaged with, some groups and stuff, I would definitely recommend. Also have a look at different hashtags. I didn't mention hashtags before. They're essentially like channels that people can tap into. You can obviously use those on your social posts to help extend the reach there, but you can also search on those existing hashtags as well. And again, engage with those, start building up a bit of a following and a fan base, and build your community and your kind of audience that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then, as you recommend, kind of boosting some posts as well and seeing how that works. Okay, perfect. Well, that's all the questions that we have for today. Thank you everyone for joining us on today's webinar. Hope you found it useful. I've dropped a link in the chat for you to provide your feedback. We'd love to know how we did and what we can do to improve these Lunch and Learn webinars. We'll also, just a reminder that we'll be sharing the recording in a follow-up email this afternoon and further resources as well. But thank you so much, Anna, for sharing your wisdom, advice and tips around social media with us this afternoon. It was really insightful. And I hope everyone has a great afternoon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.